Hey YouTube, this goes out to all viewers, but especially those in New Mexico and those business owners and DBAs in the Albuquerque, Bernalillo County area. Back on Wednesday, I received a call from one of my friends in my business community stating that he got an asset valuation tax notice. Now, mind you, this tax notice wasn't for his business. It was for a business that had previously closed down in the strip mall that he's operating in now. But the notice indicated particular taxes that he owed based on asset valuation, the interest and the penalty, and gave him a bill of $259.86. See, right here, $259.86. As you see, nowhere in this bill or this notice that was received for this company that no longer exists, is there any basis for the tax valuation, any description of the assets they used to calculate this tax. Just boom, here's the tax, this is what you owe. I assured my friend that, I moved out here in '95, applied for a business license. Nowhere in any attachments in the paperwork for the business license or on the business license application itself did it mention anything of such a business asset valuation tax, and I wasn't aware of it, and I've been out here some 15, 16 years. So I told him, don't worry about it. I'll call the county assessor's office. I'll find a person to speak to down there, and I'll get back to you. So I got a hold of the manager at the county assessor's office on Thursday, spoke to a man down there, I believe a Mr. Mosley, very nice man, very personable, very nice. And I asked him about this tax, and he says, oh yes, this law has been on the books since 1993. Anybody doing business in the city of Albuquerque or the county of Bernalillo is subject to a tax on any and all equipment, supplies, furnishings, fixtures that they use to conduct their business in the city limits or within the county. So I asked him, I said, well, for example, then I do business out of my home. You mean to tell me the computer that I use and that I bought and that I paid federal taxes on already, state taxes, sales taxes, I now owe a asset valuation tax of 13% on this equipment that's sitting in my home just because I use it for business? He said, yes, that's correct. I asked him then, how come I've never heard of this tax? He said, well, it's kind of voluntary and mandatory. I said, how does that work? He said, well, it's voluntary in the respect that we expect you to go out to our website and find the forms and fill them out and send them back to us. It's mandatory in that it is an enforceable law in Bernalillo County and the city of Albuquerque. And then he asked me, well, gee, what's your name? What business do you have and where are you located? I said, I'm not sure I feel comfortable giving you that information due to the fact that I've never received one of these valuation tax notices. And he laughed, but he gave me a website to go check out for myself to read more and find out more about this asset valuation tax. And I did. I went and checked it out, and I was shocked. So here's the website that the county assessor's office advised me to go check out, and I'm going to try and step you through this as best I can. I know it's very boring, dry, convoluted information, but I'm going to use one example and just try and, like I said, step you through this valuation process. Here's the application that they expect you to voluntarily go out and download from their website and fill it out every year so that they can track you and they know exactly where you are, how to find you if you move, how to collect more money from you. And here's all the instructions, blah, 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 blah. So, say I acquired a all-in-one printer, copier, faxer, scanner in 2011. I would enter, well, first let's go down here to the charts they give you to figure out the tax. Okay, here's percent good for the tax year 2011. Now we're talking about an all-in-one printer, okay? So that falls under, this category right here, right here, right here. And they're giving it a 6-year asset value life, while the feds give it a 3 to 5 years. So why there's a discrepancy, I don't know. So let's look down at the first year we acquire this, 2010, 2011. It's subject to a 93% rate. So you go back up here, you enter it in, year of acquisition, 2011, Always use the cost of equipment, $700. Now, times, and I can't enter anything in on this form because it's an Adobe read-only form, but you enter in 93% right here, and that gives you a taxable amount of $651. Now, based on my conversation with the assessor's office, he tells me it's a 13% tax on the valuated asset. So for the first year, it'd be valuated at $651. That's an $84.63 tax when you apply the 13% rate. Going down 6 years of the asset, it drops down to 78%. That 78% here, that gives you $546 here, with a tax rate, which is not showing over here, I guess it goes on another form, of $70.98. Okay, go down to here, on and on and on, until we get down to the 6 year down here, which would be taxed at a 20% rate, 700 times 20%, which would give you $140 here, for a tax owed on that one item of $18.20. Well, by the end of the 6 years of you doing business in Albuquerque, okay, you now owe on that one item $307.58 in total taxes over the year on this asset valuation tax table. That's crazy. That's half the price that I paid for that asset new. Now multiply this by everything you have in your office, your cell phones, your telephones, your computer equipment, your software, your pens, your pencils, your paper, your envelopes, your alarm systems, your desk, your chair, your filing cabinets, and on infinitum. Add all those into these schedules, and by God, most small business owners are out of business at the end of the first year. Never mind the 6th year. Oh, and let me point out too that this chart that they give you to figure out your taxes that you owe doesn't stop at the 6-year life, depreciation life of the asset. It goes on and down and down. They can come after you for 17 years on that all-in-one printer or everything that you own in your office. I decided to go and check out the state and or county statute on this particular valuation asset tax. And there's some really interesting and really scary stuff in here. For example here, and I apologize because the screen it's not capturing the entire document, so I'll just point out and read certain sections to you. Failure to permit examinations or records or inspection of property. Refusal by a property owner or the owner's authorized agent to permit lawful examinations of records and or inspection of properties pursuant to subsection C of section 7-38-2 NMSA 1978 may result in the issuance of subpoena to require the production of records and to require persons to appear and testify under oath pursuant to subsection blah, blah, blah. Keep in mind, people, this even means they can enter your home if you're doing business from your home. Now here's an interesting section here. Property owned by non-governmental agencies, presumption of tax liability claiming of exemption. Right here, section A, right up front. Real property owned by a non-governmental entity is presumed to be subject to taxation under the provisions of Property Tax Code unless an exemption has been claimed and allowed in accordance with this section with respect to the property. Stop right there. That is assuming then that any governmental level agency doing business in the state is exempt from this tax, and that this tax is just imposed on you and me trying to eke a living, earn a living, provide employment, give back to the community, be a part of economic development in this state. We are being penalized for this. Now going back to the bill and notice that my friend had sent me that wasn't for his business, it was for another business that had closed. I just want to show you the accompanying letter that came with that. Dear taxpayer, due to these difficult times, it's the goal of the Bernalillo County Treasurer's Office to assist those having difficulties with delinquent taxes and keeping them in their homes. It's your office that's shutting our businesses down and throwing us out in the street. Mr. Patrick Padilla, Bernalillo County Treasurer, understands that times are hard, but by working together, where have we heard that before? We can keep people in their homes and avoid property from being transferred to the New Mexico Property Tax Division and subject to auction under blah, blah, blah state statute. Enclosed is your 2010 delinquency notice. Have a nice day. And here's the coup d'etat. Okay, in the letter it says collection of delinquent taxes on real property. If a lien exists by the operation of section whatever, the department may collect delinquent taxes on real property by selling the real property on which the taxes have come delinquent. Listen up, people. They can come in, seize your business assets for not paying this ridiculous, oppressive, unconstitutional tax. They can come in and seize all of your business property and sell it and shut you down. And don't forget, that includes them, if you run a home-based business or operation, them entering your home and taking stuff you use for business out of your home. And here's a really frightening thing. I told you I received that documentation from that one friend in my business community on Wednesday. On Thursday, I got a phone call from another one of my friends in my business community. He owns a very successful business in Albuquerque. He said he just received one of these notices on Thursday. He took the initiative to call the county assessor's office, and this is what they told him. Listen carefully. They told him that the county is now pulling all business licenses in the system, going back to the date that they were first licensed to do business in New Mexico, whatever, and they are now sending out blanket notices for this tax collection witch hunt they're going on to everybody. So if you've got a business license and you're doing business in Albuquerque, you better be expecting one of these notices. As for all the small businesses in New Mexico, we are currently paying a 33% federal tax. We are paying a state tax of 2.27% of our income plus a 0.78% of property tax valuated at 55% of the assessed tax value of the property. So let's call that another 3% added to the 2.27 New Mexico state property tax, a self-employment tax of 10.24%, which in 2012 is going up to 12.4%, a New Mexico gross receipts tax of 7%, a New Mexico sales tax of 7%, and now an asset valuation tax of 13%, of which we are paying on the front end. The feds are taxing us on the value of the asset less than depreciation. Now the state is taxing us on the back end. They're taxing us on the depreciation on the assets. We're getting pulled from both sides. All of this amounts to a 75.51 effective tax rate in this in the county of Bernalillo and the city of Albuquerque for small business owners and DBAs. Just to break that down a little bit, 30% or 30 points of that 75.5% overall effective tax rate is in these ridiculous, oppressive, and may I say unconstitutional taxes that New Mexico is placing on business owners in the city of Albuquerque and the county of Bernalillo. So I am appealing to New Mexico Governor Susana Martinez, Albuquerque Mayor Richard Berry, stop shaking down the small businesses in New Mexico, especially those in Bernalillo County and Albuquerque. You're killing us. You're crushing us with all these oppressive taxes that you're imposing on us just to try and eke out a living and do business in the state in which we live. So all of you trying to conduct business in New Mexico, those of you who may be thinking of coming here to open up a small business, welcome to the land of EnTAXment. 75.51% effective tax rate, 30 points of which are not associated or applicable in any states, New Mexico again being one of the only states in the country that still has this archaic, oppressive gross receipts tax. Welcome. Well, that's it for now. Take care. Be well.